welcome back for another guitar lesson. Today we're going to talk about bar chords. Last time we talked about power chords, and bar chords are very, very similar to power chords in that where your pointer finger is at its highest point up towards the lower strings of the guitar, that's where the root of the chord is. So just like power chords, we can move them all over the neck of the guitar and play, you know, a D chord here, a G chord here, a C chord up here. We can do the same thing with bar chords. Bar chords are just a little bit more full because you're going to strum all 6 or maybe 5 of the strings on the guitar instead of the power chord where we're just strumming 2 or 3 of the strings. All right. So the reason why they're called bar chords is because we're going to bar our first finger across all 6 strings. All right. So that's why it's called a bar chord. So there's a few different positions of bar chords. So let's talk about the root note being on the low E string first. So there's 2 positions there. So we're going to use, the first position would be the major chord position, right? And it's going to be similar or basically the same exact shape as E major. So I taught you how to play an E major like this with 2nd, 3rd, and 1st finger. But imagine that you played it 3rd, 4th, and 2nd finger instead. That would free your pointer finger up to play up here. Now, obviously, we don't play behind the nut of the guitar. We're just, it doesn't really matter what we do back there. It's not making any sound or changing the sound, right? But imagine that it was there. Basically, the nut of the guitar is like a bar finger because it's stopping the strings right there. So if we move up, just like a power chord, from E open, which is our lowest note, right, and that's the root note, if we move up everything 1 fret, we now have an F chord. Why? Because we're in that same shape of an E major chord, but now we're moving all the strings with this bar. We're moving that entire shape up 1 fret. And what is 1 fret above low E? We learned last lesson that that's an F. So we're now playing F major. All right? That's F major. If we continue to move up, this would be F sharp or G flat major, G major, G sharp or A flat major, right? And we can keep going on and on. All right, but at some point, you know, you're going to get a little too high, and you don't want to play chords way up here on the neck necessarily. So you might want to play a version in a different position, which we'll go over in just a bit. So the first position, that's your first position with a root note on the E, the major position. All right. All right, the next one would be in a minor position. So same thing like we said, here's E major, and we're going to just shift that like this so that we can free up our first finger to be a bar. We're going to do the same thing for E minor. Remember in the cage lesson we said to play an E minor, it's almost the same as an E major. We're just picking up that pointer finger. We're just going to shift to this bar chord position. We're going to pick up our middle finger instead. So that's E minor, right? Just in a slightly different position than we're used to. It's not using slightly different fingers, right? Now we're going to move that up. Same concept, 1 fret. Now this is F minor. F sharp or G flat minor. G minor, G sharp or A flat minor, A minor, so on and so forth. Okay, so we have the major bar chord position with the root note on the E string. Then we have the minor. All you got to do is lift up your middle finger. Okay? Next, we're going to go over a few different positions when the root of the chord is on the A string instead of the E string. So like I said, if you reach, you know, if you get up so high that you don't want to play a C sharp minor all the way up there, sometimes it kind of sounds a little silly with the notes being that high while you're playing a chord. We can do the same thing and find the C sharp note on the A string. It's going to be further up on the neck. So we have A sharp or B flat, B, C, C sharp. There it is, 4th fret of the A. And remember, like we said in the power chord lesson, you're going to want to memorize or at least get comfortable with how to find notes on the fretboard so that you can play bar chords or power chords on command. And also, if you're an electric player and you want to play lead lines or guitar riffs and you know what notes you have to play, you want to be able to find them quickly on the fretboard. All right. But as always, the diagrams are up there, anthonylubruno.com/lessons. You can always go there for resources. All right, so A minor shape, right, was like this. But again, just like we switched it around, we're going to switch it here to free up our first finger. So we're using third, fourth, and second fingers to play an A minor. Shift it up. What I'm doing is I don't want to play this low note, so I'm actually just muting again. We talked about this in the power chord lesson. I'm muting the low E and just strumming from A down. So this is a A sharp or B flat minor, B, C, and we've reached that C sharp, which probably sounds better most of the time than that. All right? If you lift up your pinky, interesting fact, you now have a minor 7 chord. So this would be C sharp minor 7, C minor 7, so on and so forth. Okay? The last one we're going to go over is a bar chord root on the A, but major this time. All right, so here's A major. All right, we're freeing up. Our first finger's already freed up in this position. Let's move it up one. Here's B flat major. Same thing, I'm blocking that low E because I want the root note is here. That first fret A, that B flat. So here's B flat major or A sharp. All right, B, C, C sharp or D flat, so on and so forth. Okay. Another way to play that, since it's kind of difficult to stretch with all three of those fingers and leave your first finger back there 2 frets away, another way to play it is actually to bar your ring finger across those three. So for instance, let's say A sharp or B flat, B, right? I'm barring B, and I'm just going to bar these three, not all the way to the high E, because that's not a traditional B major chord. And so I'm just going to kind of stop the strumming there, and usually that will be, the high E will be muted kind of by default. If you're really good and you're kind of double jointed or something, you might be able to get that. But it's kind of hard to do. So what you'll do is just stop the chord after the B string. All right, so that's another way to play it if you have to move there really quickly and you don't have time to stretch those fingers. So it's just an alternate way to play it. All right, so those are your 4 bar chord positions with a couple little alternatives there as well. And so, again, the cool thing about this is that you can move all over the neck of the guitar and play those chords that might not have been covered in the cage system, those open chords up at the top of the neck. All right, I hope you had fun. I know I did. I'll see you again soon for another lesson. Thanks.